Welcome to my grade 12 students. You're all welcome to English language online. Dear students, today we are going to start the first story from our NCERT book of Vistas. Okay? Now the first story in this is the third level. What is a level? Sort of, when we're having numbering first, second, third, maybe a platform, maybe a class, maybe a section. So what is the story going to tell us about the third level? The story is written by Jack Finney, who was an American author, and he enjoyed writing stories that were thrilling, that had a lot of fiction, that were really interesting. This story is also going to be interesting. Follow it attentively. And before you read, have you ever had any curious experience which others find hard to believe? So, have you ever come across such a moment in your life that when you tell others, they are like, oh, come on, it's a lie, it's not possible, something like this cannot happen? Okay, so have you experienced such a time? So, in this story, we are going to come across such a situation which you will not really believe. Okay, so the third level, that's the name of our chapter. Let's begin. The presidents of the New York Central and the New York, New Haven, and Hartford railroads will swear on a stack of timetables that there are only two. But I say there are three because I have been on the third level of the Grand Central Station. So you see, something interesting is already happening. That the presidents of the New York Central and New York, everybody can swear. Okay, everyone can say it 100 times that there are only two. But I am saying that there are three because I have been on the third level of the Grand Central Station. The Grand Central Station is the railway station, okay, where we have trains. Now everybody says that there are only two stations, but I said there are three because I have been to the third one. Yes, I have taken the obvious step. Yeah, when everyone is saying there are two and I'm saying there are three, definitely everyone will say that I am disbalanced, isn't it? That maybe I have some problem, maybe I'm going mad. So the obvious step, that is the obvious treatment everyone will say, is go to a psychiatrist. So yes, I have talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine, who is a psychiatrist, a person who treats our mind. I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station, and he said it was a waking dream with fulfillment. He said I was unhappy. That made my wife kind of mad, but he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. So you see, the psychiatrist now says that, oh, come on, you're just thinking about it, you're just unhappy, you're sad, you're fearing, you're afraid, you're worried. That is why you just want to escape everybody and go somewhere far. Okay, everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down into any third level at Grand Central Station. So he says that yeah, everybody wants to escape, everybody is worried, everybody is in tension, but then nobody will go to the third level at Grand Central Station. But that's the reason, he said, and my friends all agreed. Everything points to it, they claimed. My stamp collecting, for example. Now his friends and all the people keep saying that yes, maybe he has some problem in the mind. See, he collects stamps. Stamp collecting is a very good hobby. It gives us a lot of information about postal stamps and then addresses and the new stamps, old stamps. It's quite a hobby. Stamp, the one we put on an envelope when we are going to post a letter, we put a stamp there. So people have this collection. Now he says that he has stamp collecting, but his grandfather used to collect the stamps, and his grandfather was not worried, his grandfather was not in tension. So why was his grandfather collecting stamps? You see, so he tried to say this. But anyways, he collected his stamps. It's a nice collection, blocks of 4 of practically every US issue, first day covers, and so on. President Roosevelt collected stamps too, So he is telling us that he has his collection of the latest stamps. The stamp of the first day when it is issued, he has that stamp also. And he tells us about President Roosevelt, who was once an American president, that he had this hobby too. Anyway, here's what happened at Grand Central. Now let's get back. Let's see what happened at Grand Central. One night last summer, I worked late at the office. So he's telling us now a story. During the summers, one night, he worked for quite late, maybe till 7-8 p.m. he was in office. I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. So you see, he was in a hurry. He wanted to go home quickly. Apartment, that's his home. So his decision was to take the subway. Now the subway is an underground way from where the train goes. Like you have seen the metro station that is underground. So that's a subway. So he decided to take the subway from the Grand Central railway station because it was faster than the bus. Now I don't know why this should have happened to me. I am just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me, and I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I just wanted to get home to Lisa, my wife. So now we have seen the character's name. The character's name is Charlie and his wife's name is Lisa. So he's saying that he doesn't know why does everything happen to him. He's just an ordinary, a common person. His age is 31. He's wearing a cotton soft suit. He's wearing a straw hat. Okay, and there are many people like him. And he is not trying to escape anything. He just wanted to go home to his wife. I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level where you take trains like the 20th century. So now observe, he has started his journey. He is walking. He takes down the steps, that is the staircase, to the first level where we take the trains of the 20th century, that is nowadays. Then I walked down another flight to the second level. Another flight here means another set of staircases. Another stairs, he goes to the second level where the suburban trains leave from, ducked into an arched doorway heading for the subway and got lost. Now you all know what is this word arc, the shape of an arc, okay, that is a curve. So the doorway, that is the entrance to the second level, was a arc shape. So he bent, duck means bent the head, and he went in, and that is the second level there. That's easy to do. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times, but I'm always bumping into new doorways and stairs and corridors. So you see, there's so many times he follows this way, and he always comes across new doors, new staircases, new corridors, that's galleries, new roads, new paths. Once I got into a tunnel about a mile long and came out in the lobby of Roosevelt Hotel. Another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. So he's telling us our experience that he followed different roads, different ways from inside the station and came out in different locations. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree, pushing out new corridors and staircases like roots. So this is just a description that the Grand Central railway station is growing like a tree, pushing branches in every angle, in every direction, opening out staircases and making out ways. Now, there's probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about, feeling its way under the city right now, on its way to Times Square, and maybe another to Central Park. And it's possible that they are building new tunnels and nobody knows about them. Maybe the way is under the city. Okay, you never know. And maybe because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into. But I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. So you see, he's just telling us that there are so many different ways, different tunnels, different corridors, and that is how he also got into one tunnel. But he did not tell his friend, the psychiatrist, about this way. Now let's look at that corridor. The corridor I was in began angling left and slanting downward, and I thought that was wrong, but I kept on walking. Now corridor, that's a gallery, okay? He entered and it was turning to the left and it was slanting downward, okay? That is, it had a slopey way downwards. At first he thought that he was going in the wrong way, but then he kept on walking. All I could hear was the empty sound of my own footsteps, and I didn't pass a soul. So it was so silent he could hear only his own footsteps, and nobody, not a single human being came or went. He didn't find anybody in the way. Then I heard that sort of hollow roar ahead, that means open space and people talking. So suddenly he heard some noise, some echo kind of noise, that people are talking. The tunnel turned sharp left. I went down a short flight of stairs and came out on the third level at Grand Central Station. So as he came, there was a turn left and then a short, some more steps, and then he came out at the third level at Grand Central Station. For just a moment, I thought I was back on the second level, but I saw the room was smaller, there were fewer ticket windows and train gates, and the information booth in the center was wood and old looking. So you see, as he came to this floor, he thought it was the second level, but then he observed that the room was smaller, the ticket windows were few, there were not plenty, then the train gates were also less, and then the booth, okay, an information booth, that is a small cabin where people sit and give information, it was of wood and it was old fashioned. The man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. Now the man that was sitting there for helping out was wearing green color eye shades, that's glasses, okay. The lights were dim and sort of flickering. Then I saw why. They were open flame gas lights. Now the lights were dim. Dim means when it is not very bright, and flickering when it's like it is shaking. So when you light a candle and there's a little air, it starts shaking the flame. So that shaking is called flickering. And then he saw why they were flickering. They were open flame gas lights. Open flame gas lights are when you have a lamp but inside it is flame. It's not a bulb or not a tube, but it is direct flame. The way we have the gas cylinders with a mantle, isn't it? So we have this open gas lights. There were brass spittoons on the floor, and across the station a glint of light caught my eye. A man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. Now there were brass spittoons. Spittoons are containers in which we spit. That is for people maybe that are chewing tobacco and they want to spit, so they spit in the container. That container is called a spittoon. And then there was this man who took out a watch. Now there is this watch you see in a chain, a long chain with a round dial with a cover on it. So he opens it and he looked at the watch. So this is olden days. He wore a derby hat, a black fur button suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black handlebar mustache. Then I looked around and saw that everyone in the station was dressed like 1890 something. So he saw the dressing of this man, which was a bit old-fashioned. But when he looked around on that third level, he saw that everybody's dressing was like that of the 1890s. That is 1891, 92, 93. That's 1800. Okay? I never saw so many beards, sideburns, and fancy mustaches in my life. A woman walked in through the train gate. She wore a dress with leg of mutton leaves and skirts to the top of her high-button shoes. Back of her, out on the tracks, I caught a glimpse of locomotive, a very small courier, an Eaves locomotive with a funnel-shaped stack. And then I knew. So you see, he has already said that it looks like the 1890 something time. Everyone was wearing olden days clothes. There were so many fancy mustaches, that is designs with which people cut their beards and mustaches. Then suddenly there was this lady also with an old-fashioned dress, okay? And then behind her, he saw a locomotive, that is a small train that moves in between the cities. And then he knew. So what did he knew? What did he get to know? We'll see that in the second part.